from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Indeed, how are you doing this Tuesday morning? I hope your response to that question is actually good. It's lovely, delighted, excited, amazing. Well, if it's not, at least we'll try to make sure that we get you there. Thank you for joining us right here. To be able to kickstart your day is what we always look out for every single day of the week. Well, you know, when you make us your morning cup of coffee, definitely we give you that energy that you need to be well informed. Be inspired. That is what we do. My name is Philomena Mastiko. The crew is in the house here to give you all that you need on this Tuesday morning. I'm talking about Mollen, Kenyena, and of course Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono. A lot has been happening in the country, but I will tell you one of the most positive things I've had in quite a while. I must say that saying that our teachers of the art subjects have decided to put their tools down and be able to get back to class, to get our students back on form. I think this is quite some news worth celebrating. Of course, this was after the meeting with His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. But you know, as they always say, when the big man intervenes, he's wise enough. He knows how to handle his people. And definitely, look at us here celebrating. I don't know if Mollen over here and Robert here share in my joy and celebrations. Maybe time for me to find out. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Mastiko. Good morning, Mollen. Good morning, our lovely viewers. Thank you so very much for waking up with us. And like she said, we are ready to put that smile on your face, just like we are all smiling. Well, there's a reason to smile, because I've always used the word the child of the poor.
Yes.
The vulnerable child will now, effectively starting Wednesday, will be going back to school after teachers decided to suspend their strike. Now, if they have suspended, it means they're going back to class.
Yes.
And that is joy. We hope, and I want to emphasize this, we hope they're going to carry on meaningful teaching.
Yes.
Meaningful teaching.
You don't want passive teaching.
Not just presence in school and
Yes.
saying we had a strike, we didn't get anything tangible out of this. So we couldn't keep like this. We decided to come back. We pray, we hope that they meant what they said and they will perform right in that way, because these kids lost 2 years. And above all, those in private schools are studying. And worst, they sit the same examination at the end of a certain level.
Well, somebody would actually say that is quite unfair, especially to our children in all these public schools. So we hope right now that they can be able to catch up, because there is a lot of time that has been wasted. About 3 weeks is about 21 days. Now, this was going to make it the 4th week, but intervention had to come in from government and, of course, from His Excellency. Well, I don't know what they discussed. We'll be diverging into that, of course, as we go on. But at least I know that if the teachers are stepping back into class, that is quite a very, very big stride towards trying to sort their issues and their grievances, as the main reason as to why they had actually decided to go in for the industrial action. Well, Mollen, how are we feeling this Tuesday morning?
Yes, very good morning to you, Philomena and Robert, and of course I want to say good morning to your family out there. I would say that somehow I am really also ecstatic about the fact that teachers have decided to get back in class. They were really sticking to their guns.
Yes.
Until, of course, now we're saying that that was after the president of the country intervened. And there's something that comes with you meeting the head of state. Even when your needs are not met immediately, this is someone very respectable, that at least you can take their word. But now they were getting into the rumor, someone is threatening them from this angle, then they meet the VP, then, you know, they were not really in a clear way. And I believe meeting the president should have put them in that kind of mentality to know that, no, what we are doing is not right. We need to go back to school and teach. And obviously, he did promise them something, and that's what we're counting on. But also, if you look at the dialogue in this country, they have been also losing it to associations that maybe the dialogue was not even made in time to make sure that their needs are met before the budget was passed. That is where the issue has been. So I think this has been an eye-opener to a lot of people. if you want to get something, at least begin these dialogues before it's too late, before you just, again, you're surprised by a figure saying your colleagues are going to get this and you have nowhere to run to. And obviously we know that it's not even a rumor, it's just one thing after the other. You hear some other group, again, public servants also saying, you know what, we also need such kind of increment.
Yes.
But me, I would advise dialogue as soon as possible. If you're not comfortable,
to be able to stop all these incoming
because you're going to hinder the service delivery. There are people who are not aware of your whatever your appointments with government. We are not aware, but we need the services delivered. As soon as you see that could be affected, begin starting those. And we were advised by the Minister of Finance, Mastiko Kasaija, who actually said, people, I think it's better you meet us before taking it to action. Maybe that is something that could work.
But for me, I'm also looking at this, much as the Constitution, there's that gap, or it is a right for people organized under unions, that they can carry on industrial action if they follow the steps. What the Constitution states, the statutory notice of 90 days and all that. But I think must reach a point where dialogue and people listen to those dialoguing. Because we are passing on these skills to even young children. Yesterday, I think it was, or over the weekend, St. Mary's College Ushoroza. You see, children, a small thing that students dialogue about. We want to use your washrooms, our television set has got a problem, so let's come and watch from your side. Which is easy, you discuss. But because teachers are striking, university lecturers, university dons, now here...
They think it's the right way.
We've made it like it's the right way. The children went into fighting. You know, when we were growing up, they used to tell us that when people are educated, they don't use their muscles. They use dialogue, and they never fail to dialogue.
They're expected to approach certain issues in a different way.
At the end of the day, still, it is solved by dialogue. Now you go, you fight, then you hear, now we are going back in dialogue. I think we should say no to these strikes, no to industrial action. Government should be able to listen, and the people should also say, whatever happens, we shall dialogue. But now it's the first step I want to believe that we are taking.
You know, well, it's very sad, because at the end of the day, you know who is on the losing side? It is the ordinary Ugandan, the one who is supposed to be benefiting from the services that are supposed to be offered by all these people who hold responsibility, who hold these positions of great responsibility. So indeed, we need to find a way to also dialogue with government to make sure, you know, they intercept before things get to the worst. Well, speaking of things getting to the worst, I must say that we are at least seeing some improvement. I don't know whether Robert would be happy about this, because he already says it takes long to celebrate when certain achievements are met. But you remember last week we had occurrences where robbers were breaking into people's homes, but the very specific one where we had robbers breaking into a supermarket at 11 a.m. in Mukono. Well, I must say that the security team of UPDF and of course the police in Mukono arrested 10 people who were suspected to be one of the, to be part of the groups that have been brutalizing people in Mukono. And after interrogations, they actually admitted that they had been part of 13 robberies, stealing things like motorcycles and very many other objects and property of the Ugandans and residents in Mukono. So I think this is worth celebrating as well, because it really shows that we are headed towards a certain way. And if there is any other kind of robber who was also making plans, after seeing these arrests, you need to hold back a little, or you just need to let it go. I don't know, Robert, do you think you can now celebrate this one?
I can't. Until justice has been delivered. I want to tell you, our security forces do a lot of work, and I want to commend them to ensure there is peace. But the challenge is the chain of justice. That is why they will tell you, this guy was in this robbery, he was in this robbery, he was in this robbery. I don't know if it's gathering evidence, it is within our judicial system, delaying issues. Like, I'll give you a simple example. So far, 11 guards of the Mumbere have died in prison. Since 2016, when these people were arrested, after the mayhem they had created in Kasese, remember what happened to the police and all that? 6 years down the road, you know, the hearing, justice has not been delivered.
You still have people behind bars because they are waiting.
And 11 have died in prisons so far. So what does this mean? Why I never get excited? That police arrest, and I want to commend our police and our security agencies, with a few techniques here, lack of modern technology and all that to some extent, they arrest. But you see, arrests, you have to connect that person to the scene of crime. You have to ensure the successful prosecution for that person to get a conviction, get a sentence, go to prison at Andiko Kola. Because when you're on remand, there is nothing that happens. When you are convicted, that is when you begin these rehabilitation programs that they tell you now, go to carpentry, metalworks, Gand, dig. So when you go back, maybe when you're convicted, that is where we see even many get saved. Because now they know I'm here for the next 10 years, it is between me and the Lord. And if all goes well, they get their hearts change. They come back, you see them, Pastor, my history, I was in Luzira for 10 years. That's when I met Jesus Christ. I'm a transformed person. But when they get them now on remand, later they release them, they come back, they torment us. I'm not excited. I just commend the security team
the
for
judicial system is really frustrating.
Maybe Robert should have been some kind of a detective or something, because you seem to know exactly what this guy should be doing. However, they're also doing some work. Because I want us to take it back, go back in history and realize how much, like that case we're talking about Mukono, police has taken a few days at least to get even suspects, and history has not taught us that that used to happen. You would cry about a case and it's never solved. But I think they're taking major steps, and this is something that the president also talked about in one of his addresses, saying the people that are terrorizing the country, they will be caught. And I think he's also seeing that there is a change. However, also, Philomena and Robert, the members of parliament in Kasese, from Kasese sub-region, are complaining about this guard thing. And yet they want an explanation from government. Why is there another death on these loyal guards? Yes. It seems like it has been something that was ignored at some point, but I think it comes at the right time. There needs to be an explanation as to what is happening in there.
There are some words that the spokesperson of the prisons, my good friend Frank Baine, said. He said, going to prison is not an assurance that you won't die. So we should understand these things. You can get ill, you can fall sick, but what we should examine, what are the circumstances that led to this?
Because we can't be having more people dying. And you know what? This time around, I'm in the corner of those MPs from the Kasese region, because there are certain explanations that have to be put on the table. You need to tell us why these guards are dying, and why is the judicial system continuously failing us? Why are the hearings not being put forward, and then we listen to the cases, we know what to do next? Because now these people are in limbo, they're in the gray zone, they don't know what's what, they don't know what the way forward. So clearly, if they demand for an explanation, I think it's inevitable they do it. Well, I must say there is a lot going on here. People asking for accountabilities, people asking for explanations. Well, some people really frustrated, but also again, some people celebrating that we're getting back to the norm of having our students back in school. Well, for now, we'll be taking you through some of our stories that did make it to the story table, speaking of last night, locally and internationally. So you who did not really get time to catch up, well, maybe this is about the time you know what happened yesterday. Well, we'll start off with the stories right here at home.
And that cannot be anything else but the story of His Excellency meeting teachers. That was at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds, where finally the teachers agreed to suspend their strike. President Yoweri Museveni advised the striking arts teachers to return to class. On his Twitter handle, the president and the Minister for Education and Sport, Janet Museveni, where they had met teachers. The president was very clear on his Twitter handle. President Museveni assured them that while government acknowledges the issues raised by arts teachers, government is also aware of salary issues for other workers, like the army, police officers, and others who are equally important to the growth and development of this country. He said government has provided a position as pledged to competitively remunerate workers, guided by a science-led strategy. He added that this does not mean government has forgotten others, but choosing to prioritize the few and others can come later. He said government must finish one problem at a time. The arts teachers had earlier insisted in their presentation that government should use the available resources to improve salaries across board. But the president said this would not do much. It doesn't solve the salary issue. He quoted that it is okumererera, which is sprinkling, where everyone will get a little and then next year everyone will strike.
And away from that, police has committed to enhance patrol teams along major highways to encounter robbers mounting fake roadblocks, especially at night. And last week, police registered at least 4 cases where travelers were intercepted and their valuables stolen. Now, this was revealed by the police spokesperson Fred Enanga at a weekly security media brief in Nakuru. It has been established that civilians connive with officers to acquire guns and antagonize communities. Now, these mount roadblocks on major highways to inconvenience travelers and take their valuables. Police officers and private security are cautioned against hiring out guns and conniving with criminals. Now, last week, police registered 4 cases on major roads exiting Kampala. In other operations, 10 suspects were arrested in connection to the recent robbery in Spice Supermarket, and several exhibits have been discovered, including motorcycles and other apparatus used in criminal activities. Security has revealed as Uganda is increasingly becoming a transit for human traffickers. Now, last week, 6 Ethiopians were saved from traffickers with destination to the Middle East. In Kampala Metropolitan, 20 suspected drug dealers have also been arrested in areas of Kawempe, Kasangati, and these were in possession of dangerous weapons, threatening security of others.
And districts, local governments in West Nile have collaborated with the private sector to organize West Nile Business Expo 2022. The Business Expo will address challenges to business opportunities among small and medium-scale businesses in the region. Local governments in West Nile and the private sector in a ZIG project, RISE project, have organized a West Nile Expo. This aims at enabling small and medium businesses within the sub-region to unlock their potentials in trade. The expo is expected to attract businessmen and women from Kampala, other sub-regions of northern Uganda, refugees from the various settlements including neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan. The commercial officer of Arua district, John Ezuma, said many business operators in the region are not aware of business opportunities, a gap that can best be bridged through such business expos. With Uganda's porous borders with Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan, there are many businesses in West Nile that are not being registered by Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Corinne Ochanda, the representative from private sector, noted that operating illegal business always remains a barrier in digging out opportunities to thrive in business. According to Uganda Registration Services Bureau, there are 800,000 registered businesses in Uganda, as majority are operating illegally. To that effect, station head of URSB in Arua office, William Daruka, confirms that URSB will also take services to the people during the expo in order to understand why many people do not want to legalize their businesses and address the fears.
And in another story, Amudat RDC Betty Akelo Otekati has threatened to arrest and charge any persons selling and buying goats distributed by government through the office of the Prime Minister. She was flagging off the distribution of goats to the reformed warriors and youth from Laro district, Abiel, Acholi sub-counties in Amudat district. Now, last month, President Yoweri Museveni launched improved goat and iron sheet distribution to the reformed warriors and the youth in Karamoja sub-region. This was a package to support disarmament operation in Karamoja and transform lives of reformed warriors. Now today, over 900 hybrid goats have been distributed to the beneficiaries in the sub-counties of Laro and Abiliep, as Amudat District Resident Commissioner Betty Akelo explains. Beneficiaries thanked government for empowering them and called it as it will deter youth from cattle rustling. However, RDC Akedo also said she's going to arrest those selling goats distributed by government and the buyers. Meanwhile, beneficiaries decry limited access to animal drugs and security, but RDC Akelo promised that security forces are working hard to restore peace in the district. Now, each beneficiary is to receive 5 high gala goats, 4 local females, and 1 hybrid he-goat.
Well, it cannot get any worse than that. Now, moving away from the local stories, crossing over to some of the international stories, we'll look at what happened on the 4th of July, especially at a parade near Chicago. At least 6 people have been killed and 24 others injured in a shooting in a Chicago suburb. Officials in the U.S. city of Highland Park, Illinois, said after a gunman opened fire from a rooftop on an Independence Day parade. Officials said during a news conference on Monday that 6 people were dead and 24 were taken to hospital after the mid-morning attack, and that a rifle was recovered from the scene. A hospital spokesperson later reported 31 people were injured. Hours after the shooting, authorities continued to search for the suspect, who was described as a white male wearing a white or blue t-shirt. Police later identified 22-year-old Robert E. Crimo III as a person of interest in relation to the incident, saying Crimo was believed to be armed and dangerous. Lake County Major Crime Task Force spokesperson Christopher Covelli told reporters the gunman apparently used the high-powered rifle to fire from a spot atop a building where he was very difficult to see. Very random, very intentional, and a very sad day, Covelli said. We are aggressively looking for the individual who is responsible. He added, he could be in the city, he could be somewhere else. Well, crossing over to the Ukraine war, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered his defense minister to continue the offensive in Ukraine after Russia captured the city of Lysychansk. Mr. Putin was shown on Russian TV calling on forces on other fronts to pursue their aims according to previously approved plans. The capture means that all of Luhansk region is now in Russian hands. Earlier, the region's Ukrainian governor said the city was abandoned so Russians would not destroy it from a distance. Soldiers have now moved to new fortified positions, according to the BBC. Losing the city and ceding control of Luhansk to Russia was painful, he said, but added, this is just one battle we've lost, but not the war. He pleaded for more weapons from the West to offset the Russian advantage. President Volodymyr Zelensky has pledged the Ukrainian forces will return to retake Lysychansk thanks to the increase in the supply of modern weapons. Russia has now stepped up its bombardment of cities in the neighboring Donetsk region, with the areas around Sloviansk and the road between Lysychansk and Bakhmut in particular being targeted, according to Ukrainian forces. Well, now the citizens of the Democratic Republic of Congo could have a reason to celebrate after the latest Ebola outbreak has been contained within 3 months, thanks to a swift and robust response in the Democratic Republic of Congo, says the World Health Organization. 4 people have died since this outbreak. The country's 14th since 1976 was declared in April in the western city of Mbandaka. 3 of those who died were considered confirmed cases and 1 was considered a probable case, the global health body said. The World Health Organization will continue to monitor the situation in case of any flare-ups, but in a statement, it praised the Congolese authorities. The UN organization worked together with the government to roll out vaccinations, testing, contact tracing, infection prevention and control, as well as community engagement. This outbreak response shows that by bolstering preparedness, disease surveillance and swift detection, we can stay a step ahead, said the World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Mashidiso Moweti, in a statement released on Monday.
News Spain and Portugal are suffering their driest climate for at least 1,200 years, according to research, with severe implications for both food production and tourism. Most of the rain in the Iberian Peninsula falls in winter as wet, low-pressure systems blow in from the Atlantic. But a high-pressure system off the coast called the Azores High can block the wet weather fronts. Researchers found that winters featuring extremely large Azores High have increased dramatically from one winter in 10 before 1850 to one winter in 4 since 1980. Now, these extremes also push the wet weather northwards, making downpours in the northern UK and Scandinavia more likely. The scientists said that more frequent large Azores highs could only have been caused by climate crisis caused by humanity's carbon emissions. The number of extremely large high Azores in the last 100 years is really unprecedented when you look at the previous 1,000 years, said Dr. Caroline Umenhofer at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in the US and part of the research team. There has been big implications because an extremely large Azores high means relatively dry conditions for the Iberian Peninsula and the Mediterranean, she adds.
Well, there is one thing definitely I have picked from the story about how there are certain people who are selling off government goods that are being offered to people. Either there is a certain sect of Ugandans that is really egotistical, very self-centered, because they're not looking at the bigger picture. I mean, if these goods are supposed to help people, draw in income, house income and all that, and then you're selling them off, what is that? We need to get something very serious that we can do. There should be very serious repercussions to this, because government cannot be coming in with all these strategies. And then there are people who are frustrating all these moves. It's not, sometimes it's not really the government's problem. The people the medium people who really connect government to the local person, to the last person on the radar. That is where the problem is in most cases.
I don't know why Ugandans are not embracing most of these programs, because this is supposed to be helping you. They are bringing in these goods for you to have an income, and you selling it off, because obviously they're going to use the money and you go back to square one. But these goods could have stayed and multiply. And I don't know, it's really hard to help Ugandans if they are thinking this way. Now I wonder what will happen with the parish development model. This kind of behavior should actually be stopping right away, because we're not going to get into, you will not get in the middle income status with us. Some of us will believe we're already there if you're doing some of these acts that are taking government programs down.
You know, there are two things I grew up hearing. In the central, and I hope they explain this one, there's a saying that Sebusiru wanjoka zita mukama wazo. You know, intestinal worms sometimes become so stupid that they kill the person. Yet when he dies, they lack what to feed on, they will still die. Then the English have a saying, cutting a tree or cutting a branch on which you're sitting. But also then I blame government. Sometimes when government is having these programs, they're begging people to get them out of poverty.
Yes.
A person acquires how many goats in total? 5, about 7. Then sells, and people say, government, don't arrest those people because, you make people hate government programs. Those that disappeared with those creation money, those that disappeared with the youth livelihood, you arrest people will get fed up. No, set precedents, arrest them, and they will understand. And you see if others will mess with those goats. But we dilly-dally, then leave them. May I believe in setting precedents? That's how I operate in my life.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Indeed, how are you doing this Tuesday morning? I hope your response to that question is actually good. It's lovely, delighted, excited, amazing. Well, if it's not, at least we'll try to make sure that we get you there. Thank you for joining. We can do with some good news, Robert, honestly.
Well, the good news I have this morning is
us right here to be able to kickstart your day is what we always look out for every single day of the week. Well, you know, when you make us your morning cup of coffee, definitely we give you that energy that you need to be well informed, be inspired. That is what we do. My name is Philomena Mastiko. The crew is in the house here to give you all that you need on this Tuesday morning. I'm talking about Mollen, Kenyena.
save that money, maybe for other productive things, by simply consuming these products on a daily basis. That's why you see these ladies here. Monday to Friday, they are here, never falling sick. They are looking very good, their skins, because this is a detoxifier, no chemical applied.
Well, at least you don't have to sell a government goat to buy yourself a bottle of Hallelujah. 1,500 Ugandan shillings and you're good to go. We're going in for a break. When we get back, Good Morning Ugandan Newsreel will be in, where we'll be having a topical discussion, myself and Robert. So make sure you don't go anywhere. Good morning. And of course, Robert, Kirabo, Nyonyintono. A lot has been happening in the country, but I will tell you one of the most positive things I've had in quite a while. I must say that saying that our teachers of the art subjects have decided to put their tools down and be able to get back to class, to get our students back on form. I think this is quite some news worth celebrating. Of course, this was after the meeting with His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. But you know, as they always say, when the big man intervenes, he's wise enough. He knows how to handle his people. And definitely, look at us here celebrating. I don't know if Mollen over here and Robert here share in my joy and celebrations. Maybe time for me to find out. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Mastiko. Good morning, Mollen. Good morning, our lovely viewers. Thank you so very much for waking up with us. And like she said, we are ready to put that smile on your face, just like we are all smiling. Well, there's a reason to smile, because I've always used the word the child of the poor.
Yes.
The vulnerable child will now, effectively starting Wednesday, will be going back to school after teachers decided to suspend their strike. Now, if they have suspended, it means they're going back to class.
Yes.
And that is joy. We hope, and I want to emphasize this, we hope they're going to carry on meaningful teaching.
Yes.
Meaningful teaching.
You don't want passive teaching.
Not just presence in school and
Yes.
saying we had a strike, we didn't get anything tangible out of this. So we couldn't keep like this. We decided to come back. We pray, we hope that they meant what they said and they will perform right in that way, because these kids lost 2 years. And above all, those in private schools are studying. And worst, they sit the same examination at the end of a certain level.
Well, somebody would actually say that is quite unfair, especially to our children in all these public schools. So we hope right now that they can be able to catch up, because there is a lot of time that has been wasted. About 3 weeks. This is about 21 days. Now, this was going to make it the 4th week, but intervention had to come in from government and, of course, from His Excellency. Well, I don't know what they discussed. We'll be diverging into that, of course, as we go on. But at least I know that if the teachers are stepping back into class, that is quite a very, very big stride towards trying to sort their issues and their grievances, as the main reason as to why they had actually decided to go in for the industrial action. Well, Mollen, how are we feeling this Tuesday morning?
Yes, very good morning to you, Philomena, Robert, and of course I want to say good morning to your family out there. I would say that somehow I am really also excited about the fact that teachers have decided to get back in class. They were really sticking to their guns.
Yes.
Until, of course, now we're seeing that that was after the president of the country intervened. And there's something that comes with you meeting the head of state. Even when your needs are not met immediately, this is someone very respectable that at least you can take their word. But now they were getting into the rumor, someone is threatening them from this angle, then they meet the VP, then, you know, they were not really in a clear way. And I believe meeting the president should have put them in that kind of mentality to know that, no, what we are doing is not right. We need to go back to school and teach. And obviously, he did promise them something, and that's what we're counting on.
Packages, great entertainment, sports, local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Go TV, this is where our stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Uganda shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Hey guys, please let's have a brief meeting. See that? Calls, data, SMS, shareable among 5 people.
What?
And it includes free Airtel TV. Do you guys know what that means?
Means no worry.
Enjoy life worry-free with Airtel Smart Plans, shareable among 5 people. Use every day and pay at the end of the month.
They've also added Showmax.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
We have 7 minutes past 7 a.m. on Good Morning Uganda right here. Thank you for joining us for this very special segment. That is, of course, the Good Morning Uganda newsreel, where we are having a topical discussion. My name is Philomena and I am with Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. Well, the discussion this morning, we are looking at our teachers of the art subjects. If you have been following up, especially on the applied, you know that for the last 3 weeks, they have not been making any steps, especially towards classes. And that is, of course, to me, they haven't been in class to teach the students 21 days. From the 15th of June, they decided to take on an industrial action, of course, trying to make sure that the government comes in and listens to their grievances. These grievances were in relation to salary enhancements. Now, their counterparts, the teachers of some subjects, did also have a strike earlier on this year, and government came in to listen to their plea, and they had to include them in the financial year for 2022-2023 budget. Well, of course, several interventions have been put into place, especially by several government officials, to make sure that the arts teachers get back to class and do what they really are good at, that is, of course, teaching the students. But all these have been in vain. Until recently, which was yesterday, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni came in and decided to have a meeting with the UNATU officials. And now, of course, this is the Uganda National Teachers Union, where they did have representatives coming to talk about their grievances and have a dialogue with His Excellency. He wanted to understand why is this happening, where is it coming from, and probably try to forge a way around it or forge a way forward to make sure that things get back into system. Now, from the discussions they had, we clearly see that the teachers have decided, of course, to get back to class with immediate effect, which is today, the Tuesday, the 5th of July 2022. The arts teachers are all expected to be back in class and, of course, teaching. But, Robert, there are very many questions, of course, that are arising from these. Of course, we would really want to thank His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, because, I mean, this was of great concern. He came in because at the end of the day, our students were really losing out a lot. But he came in, he did not really make any promises. He did say, we're going to give you money, we are going to do this. Because, I mean, this is quite an issue that had already been addressed by public service. And they had told them, listen, we don't have money to cater to your needs right now. But obviously, with time, we'll definitely see something to do about that. But when His Excellency did have a conversation with them, a dialogue with them, they did listen. Now, I would actually want to question, could this be because of the way such issues were being met or were being responded to by other government officials? Because to start off with, we did see directives that were being, given to the teachers, and I mean, certain threats coming in from all different corners, and they did not actually really they didn't pick up their tools. They were very persistent, and they decided it was them versus all these threats, all these directives. But I mean, what does this mean, having a dialogue with His Excellency and seeing that the teachers are actually returning to class?
First, I don't want to call it a dialogue. I want to call it a meeting.
Yes.
These two differ. Dialogue, you deliberate. You come to either a common position. But a meeting can be where one person is going to give a presentation, then the other, and you all move. Because when you look at what happened yesterday, is the president, and going by the story we did at UBC, and I want to quote, he said, government has provided a position as pledged to competitively remunerate workers guided by a science-led strategy.
Yes.
So, a science-led strategy. He added that this does not mean government has forgotten others, but choosing to prioritize a few and then others come later. So, does this respond to no money, no class? Definitely not. That meeting, we didn't have a commitment that may be next financial year.
Yes.
He, in fact, even said, if we are to give everyone a little, it is just sprinkling. For us who have a farming background, when you're watering your plants, it's not just a matter of sprinkling, that every plant gets a few drops that is useless.
Yes.
It will be like going to a well, and then, there's a saying that one madman went to a lake, and he said, I'm very annoyed, and he did this to the waters. It meant nothing, because you can't contaminate that. So, His Excellency was very clear. And I think this explains, there's that what they call the collective bargaining agreement of 2018. The president, in his wisdom, was very clear not to make any commitment, but promised that this is work in progress.
Yes.
We don't know when, but we shall get there. But as of now, we may not have the money you need, but at least life is about priorities. If we are to look at salary increment, let's prioritize first the sciences. And that's why when the art teachers were saying salary disparities, it was very clear, Honorable Mruli Mukasa explained it, that your colleagues, the scientists, have a category where they fall.
Yes.
That includes these dons at universities, the doctors, as science, enhancement of salary through a science-led strategy. We are not closing the doors, but this is what we are prioritizing. And he made it clear to them. Now, after the meeting, because he was meeting regional leaders of their union, they went and had a 3 hours meeting, according to Philbert Baguma. And they said they were left with two options. Not to go back to class and close doors of dialogue, or go back to class as they continue with dialogue. And the best that they agreed for safety, for whatever, was go back to class and continue with the dialogue. And they have said that come Wednesday, because he said some of their regional leaders have to travel.
Yes.
So come Wednesday, all these teachers will be back and in class teaching. What does this mean? Did the teachers get what they wanted? It is a no. However, they became considerate because they understood this. My only worry is, when are we going to end this issue where these all have to end at the presidential level? We want to see the president.
Yes.
When market people want to see the president. Well, yet he has people in offices.
Because there is a structure that needs to be followed.
When are we going to have people gain confidence? You know, this speaks volumes.
Yes.
If this speaks volumes to people in these offices, what can you do that when a person says, I'm going to meet the minister for this, they can meet that minister, go by what they have been told, understand it. You know, we can't continue because he's not the one who wants to meet them. No, they're the ones that request.
Yes.
So, how do we move away from that? Because at a time will come when maybe His Excellency is too busy. He's out of the country.
He can't be readily available for all these groups that are intending to
what
strike,
is going
or the
to happen?
groups striking, yes.
When taxi people, taxi, president, teachers, dons. No. Institutions should build trust, because this is lack of trust. That when you meet a minister in charge of something, or you feel you still need to see the president.
I mean, Robert, we have even seen incidents where there is a certain group of people, they may not even be necessarily striking, but they want certain issues to be addressed. And you will tell them, maybe you need to go to this office of the district registrar, or maybe you need to go, you know, depending on what they want. And they will, you know, very confidently tell you that person is not going to give us what we want. We need to see a higher power. Clearly, I think that really gives you a big picture, or a bigger picture, of what exactly and how people really look at the, you know, the people holding these positions. Because
no, there is a new term I've learned that we are using of late: mindset change. We need to change our mindset. Teachers have gone on strike for the last 3 weeks, and the person who has come out and strategically communicated and they understood, this maybe could have been avoided, this lengthy strike. But this is something I feel it is getting so much. People should know, people should be in offices and build that confidence, you know, and we should have proper communication. Another lesson we learned from here has been this uncoordinated movement of troops.
yes,
You know, one says this today, the other says this.
Very
One says that
contradictory.
was just a proposal. This one writes a letter. We need to harmonize. Let people speak in tandem. We have one voice speak, and also ensure that we build that confidence in institutions, that it mustn't always be that this is the final position.
because you could actually say that this was exposing the lack of a real solid communication system, especially these government entities. This is very key, because if you're having teachers strike, they definitely want something. They want feedback. They want communication. Very, very, very solid communication. That
Yeah,
is
but
going
if
to be
one
able
is saying
to-
today, you can't register, those are not there, we are going to suspend them.
Yes.
The other is saying, we are saying there is no government, there is no money, we should not hold us a transfer. That one is, this is, no. It also makes certain issues complicated.
Well, now, Robert, you did also highlight the fact that clearly there is too much confidence that has been lost in all these institutions. Now, for any structure to work out, you really have to have your people believe in the people, because His Excellency has placed people, ministers, you know, state ministers, and all these other officials to be able to run errands on his behalf. They represent him. But clearly, from what we have seen, and this is quite a big lesson that has been exposed by the teachers' strike, how do we get to rebuild the trust between these entities, between the people holding these positions, the officials, the government officials, representing, of course, the big man himself, and, you know, the local man? How do we rebuild this confidence? Because if it keeps dwindling, Robert, things are really going to get into a zone that we don't want, a red zone, I could say. So how do we get to build that trust? What do these institutions have to do? What do we have to look at? What do we have to prioritize? Because clearly, as we see, the teachers, of course, let's say we have tried to handle this issue, but we are also having the staff from local government continuing to say they will still going to strike tomorrow, you know, if their issues are not handled. Now, by the time they do this, definitely at the back of their mind, they will also want to meet His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Yet, there are other people they could have met in between there, and they don't even have to get into the strike mode. They don't even have to start it when their issues can be addressed. So what do we do? I'm sure this is not the last category of people that really wants to strike.
It
Could be. It's the last one that will strike, but there are those that would want to strike, looking at that as the main, or the final way to get their issues heard. So what do we do?
First, I want to begin by thanking His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for his stand yesterday. Because I told you I believe in precedents. If by any chance, yesterday the President met the teachers and said either we are going to pass a supplementary or we are going to deduct from the fraction we give science teachers in the budget and see how we work on your issues. What that would mean that many other people are going to strike, because they would have known you strike, you persist, you meet the President, your issues dealt with. When we set precedents, it's now clear. Mujja kuvayo, you strike, you take yourself back on duty. It's not a matter like science teachers striked, nurses, doctors, their issues were hard.
Yes.
You know, we had begun that saying, you strike, you meet the President, your issues are dealt with, your issues are dealt with. Thank you for that precedent. If it is clear that government doesn't have the resources now to cater for this, but it's a gradual process, well done, well stated, His Excellency. These local government people, you strike, you gave your 90 days, you've seen. Priority, the strategy is beginning with scientists. We are not going to be everywhere yet nowhere.
Maybe government will set a precedent this time round.
I highly doubt. I highly doubt. Because, one thing I love about my president is he's clear.
Yes.
He doesn't, some politicians, babuzabuza, you want to please here, you want to please there. And, if you're here, even the Bible says, because you're neither warm nor what, that's why I'll spit you.
Yes.
You must have a stand, not pleasing here and pleasing there. And that is what he did. Now, how we can avoid these issues? First, how do you build trust as an institution? Is when you respond to challenges of the people you're responsible for. That is the only way you build trust. I'll give an example. Our show, we have our producer.
Yes.
If my producer meets my problems and addresses them to the authorities to be my maybe station manager, my DMD, my MD, and I see things are working, I'll have no reason to say,
you want to meet the MD?
Yes, we have this issue, so you must meet the MD. Because my producer, my direct immediate boss, moves my issues to the concerned authorities. And in time, you get it? So these institutions, people heading them must ensure that they can solve problems before they get to a level where they have lost trust.
Yes.
But that also has two ways. One, do you have the right person in that office? When you're not the right person, you lack self-esteem, you lack confidence, Maybe you're there because of bijinji. Like, nah, how will I? You must have the right people.
Yes.
They are qualified. They have the experience, They know what they are doing.
Yes.
Then those can stand and say, Your Excellency, if I'm the PS of this means, not saying that these people are not working, no. But if he says there is this issue, we want to meet the President. Them, not the affected people.
Yes.
If I have a problem in this show, I don't go to meet my DMD or my station manager. My producer goes there and comes back with something tangible.
Yes.
So heads of these ministries, heads of these institutions must be able to address problems in the initial stages. Not saying nothing between the President. That would mean you do that on our behalf.
Yes.
If you can't, and we do this on our own behalf,
it renders you very useless. You're not doing anything.
Yes. So, and also, government should let institutions work. If a person is in a position, they should have the power,
yes,
to take certain decisions and take them meaningfully. Why would you have local government workers and all that? You know, they issue, because constitutionally, when you're going to carry out industrial action, statutory notice is a must within 90 days. Now, 90 days, those are 3 months.
There is a lot that can actually be
in
done.
3 months. What pressure have we seen from people that are responsible for these workers? How many meetings have we had? The media today is so sharp, we are everywhere. At least they have had a meeting with His Excellency as the bosses to address these issues before they escalate. But if you're going to sit comfortably, I hear sirens. Said, oh, those ones you hear. Ooh, you're driven, then you're reading newspapers. Yet there's an issue boiling there.
Yes.
You render yourself meaning. Some people will say no. For us, we shall only see the president.
Yes.
So you must be active, address issues very fast. You must have the right people there that have the confidence, have the experience, and we must let these institutions work and respect their decisions. That is the only way.
Well, there is feedback coming in over here, and there is Anthony Mpalanyi, who is saying that, well, sometimes the wrong people are occupying the wrong offices. I think this is in line what you are saying, that some of these offices are not being occupied by the people who are ideally supposed to be doing what should be done in that office. Maybe, you know, they are underqualified, or they don't know where their mandate takes them to exactly. So, I mean, more discussions are still yet to be carried out.
Let me just give you briefly as we wind up this.
Yes.
I want to give an example, and I'm looking for an example that is going to be non-partisan. I mean, oh, I don't want to talk about people who are currently in these ministries. There was a time traders wanted to strike. They said, but they made this statement: if we could only meet Honorable Mary Chambad, you know?
Yes.
Asked why. Said, oh, you're Yabimala. You meet her, you get direct feedback. And when the lady came in this meeting, they were chanting. And she said, no, as long as I'm Wednesday, let me go and meet His Excellency. The following morning, they had a meeting at a certain hotel. She just came, I've agreed this, I passed this to His Excellency, and he said it is okay. We do this, we do that. That is what we call leadership.
Yes.
That you're beyond, you know. There are people there, they will tell you that if you can meet the executive director of this body, you don't have to continue. If you can meet so and so, if you can meet this minister and they address this issue, it is done and dealt with. Recently, I have the Ministry of Lands Works.
Yes.
You have these issues, meet Honorable Judith, meet this. There's another state minister, the name, I want to, Amel, he's a man among the state ministers in the Department of Lands. He will come and say, Bino bino be achieved, bino be court order, overturn, possess your land. You know, he won't wait for people. We need to meet the president.
Yes.
We must have the right.
Dragging the whole process when there are certain
Then why are you in
decisions that
office?
can be made.
Why are you in office? If everything bypasses you, you don't have a solid. It is like being a husband in a home. Or a wife, everything.
So you're a
can I have a
provider,
broom? Let me ask the husband. Why are you in my home?
Well, just in case you missed it, we were talking about the issue of striking teachers of art subjects. But of course, as we know it, they did have a meeting with His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and at least by Wednesday, we should have these teachers back in class. They did have quite some candid conversations, and His Excellency really did stand his ground. He echoed what other people have been saying, other government officials, and he said, we don't have the resources right now to sort you out. But yes, we are prioritizing certain groups of people, but that does not necessarily mean that we are leaving out the rest of other public servants. Now, this gives you a lot of questions, or it lets you do a lot of thinking. Some message was passed on by different people, but at this specific group of people, listen to one different type of person. So could it have been the message delivery? Could it be that the people, or all these officials who are passing on this information were not doing it the right way, or they were passing on wrong information? That could also have been a problem. We cannot figure that out. But hey, at least we know that the teachers are getting back into class, and we are yet to see how far this is going to go. And we hope and pray that eventually their issues will be worked on in the long run. And indeed, I believe in the government. I know they will do something about it. Well, we're heading into the press review this morning. We need to see the stories over there in our papers. I'm talking about the Daily Monitor, the New Vision, and of course the Daily Nation. Decision 2022 is getting hotter and hotter by the day because we are yet to see who the next president of Kenya will be. Thank you for sticking it with us, and you can still go on all the way. We are streaming live on YouTube, so you can catch up on all the details. Good morning, Uganda. We'll be back.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Great entertainment.
Sports, telenovela, the movies.
There is something for everybody. Go TV. This is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Uganda shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Live studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it's about that time we take a look at what made the big stories in our papers. Starting off with the Daily Monitor, we're looking at cabinets of arts. Where are the scientists is a question that is being fronted. The Uganda National Council for Science and Technology Act 1990 defines the fields of science and technology to include social sciences and humanities. They're showing you pictures of some of the arts, arts people on the cabinet, and definitely this is worth taking a look through and see who is who. And still giving you the story about arts teachers call off strike without pay rise, and DGF resumes operations. Now that story is on page 3 of the Daily Monitor. We have the lizard over there doing the most, asking when will the next strike be. Of course, this is in light with arts teachers calling off the strike with no pay rise. And moving on to the second page of the Daily Monitor this Tuesday morning, the 10 held in security raids over Mukono robberies. And You're back in time. Today in history, King Mutesa driver appears in court. The year was 1966, of course, on the same day. And still also in history, Venezuela declares self-rule from Spain. The year was 1811. Where were you then? Were you in existence? Well, you need to catch up on all these action in the Daily Monitor this Tuesday morning, but also the New Vision is carrying some big stories over there. What are we looking at, Mollen?
Absolutely. Now that New Vision leads off with a big story right there, as art teachers suspend strike, Museveni assures them of pay increase in a phased manner. Now details on that story are on page 4 and 5 of the New Vision. But also in the New Vision, they give you a story on Spice Diana probed over murder. Now what is in there? What is this about? The story is on page 9 of the New Vision. But the big picture also, the New Vision fronts right there with President Yoweri Museveni and First Lady, who is also the Minister of Education and Sports right there, as they welcomed the Public Service Minister Mululi Mukasa right there in, and also that was during the UNATU leaders meeting with the President right there. Now in the New Vision for this morning, obituary, they are showing you the last moments of Nile High boss, page 30. Interesting story right there, you should get it. You should get a read on that. Oil farms get tough drilling rules in game parks. That is also detailed on page 17 and 18 of the New Vision. DGF partners welcome end of ban. Well, that is also detailed for you right there on page 5 of the New Vision for this morning. Over to the second page, still giving you insights on the parish development model. What is in there? They give you how rich church will benefit from PDM. NRM leaders advise government on PDM, and of course what is detailed in there from different areas. What has informed the introduction of the parish development model? That is to also on the second page. A lot has been highlighted right there actually that can get you more details on what is inside the PDM. Bunyoro Industrial Hub to open up next Monday. That is also in the New Vision for this morning.
And in the Daily Monitor Sports, a T20 WC qualifier squad announcement. Cricket cranes the Lezim squad over Muhumuza injury. Now back to the past, the CAF announced at the weekend that the African finals in Ivory Coast will take place in January 2024 instead of June-July 2023, as changes made in 2017 says. And we're looking at an unstable schedule, leaving AFCON naked. Now moving on to Senegal, hold key to Uganda progression, and we're looking at the WAFCON, of course, 2022. Today we're seeing in the Group A Burkina Faso versus Senegal and Uganda versus Morocco, and also taking you through the 2-0 defeat to Senegal. Now, Ivory Coast, Angola await Silverbacks. This is, of course, basketball talk. Definitely a story for you to catch on. Ex-boxer Wakabu needs repair. Why? How? Who is he? Well, more reason for you to grab the paper and catch up on that story. And of course, Lutalo could ring changes still in WAFCON 2022, giving you a full detailed story over there. So get your paper this morning, the Daily Monitor, and see what's happening in the sports section.
Well, in the sports section of the New Vision this morning, they'll also show you an interesting story where Lutalo is not about to change. He says, I will stick to the plan. And that is, of course, the Crested Cranes coach, George Lutalo, is not about to change his team approach for today's Women African Cup of Nations tie against the hosts of Morocco. It seems like he's really looking forward to this game, but also a lot to uncover right there. You can get yourself a copy. And also Seka just takes charge of the Bulls. Now that is the former Uganda Cranes defender and captain Ibrahim Sekaja, who has now been appointed the interim head coach of the New York Red Bulls too. And he also gives insights right there on what he's expecting in there. But inside the New Vision Sport, Queens of Mind game. Well, that is all right there as we talk about the tennis teams ready for Davis Cup Challenge. And also Mark and Harris are confident ahead of the events that are coming up when it comes to the games right there that are ahead of the Victoria University Glorious class as well. But also that is when we are talking about chess competition. A lot in there to uncover with the New Vision Sport for today.
Well, in the Daily Nation this morning, Decision 2022 still taking the big story. Polls, of course, battle of the IT gurus. Azimio flag bearer Raila Odinga and his Kenya Kwanza counterpart William Ruto are banking on information technology gurus to safeguard their votes. Well, of course, that is expected. And still taking you through the countdown, 34 days to go. And in more politics news, Maure vowing to fight corruption launches manifesto. We are ready for junior high, private schools say. Now, this is a CBC test that we are getting into. Now, you can catch up on that full story in the Daily Nation this morning. But also, court hands Sonko a lifeline in Mombasa governor race. Of course, in directing the IEBC note to Gazette the names of governor candidates, court gives Mike Mbuvi a legal breather. You can catch that story on page 13 of the Daily Nation. And they're giving you some pictorial over there about Kenya Private School Association Chairman Charles Wamai left, and of course the National Cohesion and Integration Commission member Philip Okundi during a conference of private school owners in Mombasa yesterday. And over there, I made you president. Ruto taunts Uhuru. Uhuru can not really rest until these elections are actually over. Now, we'll get that story in the Daily Nation, of course, pages 4 and 5, and see why Ruto is saying what he's saying to Uhuru. How did he make this man the president? Well, that is a story, I think, worth touching on this Tuesday morning in the Daily Nation. So, yes, grab yourself a copy and make sure you don't miss out this morning. But also, one of the other things that you cannot afford to miss out is definitely the traffic update. And in the areas of Chiwatule, Chigowa, Ntinda, Naguru, Bukoto, now of course these are all places that are definitely able to lead you to the city center. And I might say they are quite very busy this morning because there are certain traffic build-ups in very specific parts of these roads. And I will just start off from Chiwatule. Chiwatule, there is quite actually some traffic build-up over there as you're getting in from Central Road, and that's Seboa Road as well. So it is expected for you to, you know, meet the traffic build-up. Now, this could actually result into some heavy traffic as the minutes go by, or it could actually be very manageable for you, and it could clear without you having to face quite certain hardships. Of course, going in all the way and crossing over to Chigowa, looking at Ntinda Chisasi Road, it's actually very busy this morning, I must say, because there are certain red dots all over the different spots on this very specific road. As every single day on a working day, this road is quite busy because we have very many road users over there. We have pedestrians, we do have some cyclists, we have you know, private cars, we have public transport means all taking over this road. So it wouldn't come as a surprise to see that it's actually very busy this morning. However, as you're headed all the way till, of course, as you're getting to Katalima is around this area, there is quite some traffic build-up, so that is also expected while you're making your journey to town. Do have that at the back of your mind. But also crossing over to Naguru. Naguru is very busy this morning because there is a certain stretch of traffic build-up, and it's all actually dominated by oranges. So definitely that shouldn't be something that comes to you as a surprise. You need to have a plan B as you're headed towards the city center. Like I always say, every single morning, by the way, before you leave your home, you should have an alternative route compared to only sticking to your normal route, because anything can actually happen. You know, you could have incidents happening. So that is not something you want. You don't want to be caught unawares. Always have an alternative route that can lead you to your final destination, depending on where you're going. Because as we have seen over the days, traffic is very unpredictable on Ugandan roads, especially when you least expect it, it will be there. And when you actually expect it, it may not be there, depending on how the gods work in your favor. So yes, if you're coming in from the areas of Ntinda, if you're coming in from Naguru, if you're coming in from Nalia, if you're coming in from Banda, I must say that this is quite a busy area this morning, and definitely you need to be very ready for that. But also, as another road tip, we have seen on several occasions having people being fleeced into you know, robbed, because they're seeing people who are coming in disguise because they are believed to be traffic officers, please be very alert, be very cautious. You don't want to lose your property while you're in the car because you have decided to stop over for the wrong people who really want to do some security checkups, or to make sure that you are doing the right thing on the road. Not all traffic officers are actually traffic officers. Some of them are really robbers, and we don't want to hear very sad incidents like that. Be very alert, be very cautious, and again, it's advisable that you have somebody in the car if you can, especially if you're making these long journeys and you're on the highway. And again, be very cautious on the road while you're driving that car. It could be a means of convenience, but it could also be a problem to your health. So be very responsible as a Ugandan road user. Well, that's it from our traffic updates this morning, but also we need to engage with Mollen over here and we'll see what's happening in the weather and climate sphere. What are we looking at this morning, Mollen?
Well, I'll tell you what we do expect for this morning across the country. It looks like we're starting off with another day of dry weather for several places.
Yes.
And well, temperatures have been increasing lately, and we could be looking at an increasing trend. I'll be giving you a sneak peek of what you can expect for tomorrow and the next day, and that will come later on. But also what is making headlines, Philomena, we're looking at more drought crisis across the world and more countries complaining about this becoming an issue now to the extent of food security, threatening food security. And that's what is leading in the stories for this morning.
Well, when you hear the word drought, clearly that's not good news, and we know the effects. Well, at least if you don't go and find out what drought could mean to a country. So clearly we're not doing so well, we're not doing the lot, or we're not doing what we are supposed to be doing. Well, I will leave you now to Mollen fully to give you the full-on information as you expected every morning. Otherwise, have a great Tuesday morning. I will certainly be seeing you when I see you. I am Philomena Mastiko, and have a great Tuesday morning.
Well, thank you very much, Philomena. Now, taking it from the drought crisis, Italy yesterday did issue a state of emergency that is across the provinces that have been affected by this crisis. And obviously, that has taken in one of the rivers that are very, very well depended on in Italy, that is River Po. Now, the state of emergency that has come across is roughly for a third of the country's agricultural production, a third of that. That means that it could mean a lot of food insecurity for this country. And of course, they are saying that they have been suffering the worst drought in 70 years. Now, this is the first time within 70 years that they have seen this kind of drought striking over the area, threatening that is the effectiveness of River Po. And obviously they have even advised for evacuations for the people that are close to this area, because it is even hard to get water in that area. Obviously food and agriculture cannot take place when you have no sources of water at all. Irrigation can be practiced, but also this can no longer be sustainable over the area. Now Italy has advised that they evacuate some of the people and get them to places where it's at least not as dry as it is over there. Now, this is not the only country that is dealing with emergencies when it comes to drought crisis. Also, what is coming through, and that was across a story that we read this morning, Spain and Portugal are also suffering the driest climate for the 1,200 years. Now, this is something that has been noted as record-breaking. In 1,200 years, they haven't seen this kind of worst drought across the region. And of course, this is attributed to the effects of human-caused global heating, blocking vital winter rains with severe implications of farming and tourism. Again, this is also linked to farming. This is linked to agriculture, because you look into the fact that most of the countries across the world, the agriculture is rain-fed, and when you don't have rains in the picture, that means you're actually threatening the food security. And obviously, what is also coming across is that Spain and Portugal are now looking into more ways of getting into the irrigation part. But also, if it is such a large extent of a drought crisis, that cannot be sustainable. And obviously, most of what scientists are connecting the dots right now is due to the high pressure systems that do affect the weather systems. That is the Azores high systems. Those are usually associated with dry weather. Now, the more we have had variations in our climate and in our weather, these are also frequently becoming, out of the ordinary, and that means that they are causing more of dry weather to most of these areas, and that is how we stand in terms of drought. And of course, those are all severe weather events that we talk about when we are relating it to climate change. But as if that is not enough, we also see more of the tropical storms forming. We also see more of, you know, a lot of extreme weather events, right from just the heat waves into the floods, into the droughts, and a lot just keeps happening. And you wonder if there is someone out there who is actually making sure that we get out of this crisis. Now, China has also been dealing with a lot when it comes to extreme weather events, now, which is why we continue to call for action for some of those developed countries that are able to help with climate action, and we get out of this whole mess. Now, also what broke out yesterday is the wildfires that broke out, and especially now that we have moved out of the fire season, you would wonder why are we still having more of these wildfires coming across. But of course, a large wildfire raged out of control north of Athens, that is on Monday, prompting authorities to order evacuation of the nearby coastal town. Now, this was across Athens, and of course they are saying that also this area has been dealing with dry weather for the last couple of days, which has fueled into this wildfire. Now, if you look into what has been happening, strong winds fanned into the flames of the area, and of course also more of the officials on ground are saying that they are urging residents to leave the town and halt on some of the activities as the firefighters keep in the area to ascertain that, you know, it is kind of safe in Athens, especially as these wildfires continue. And of course, they have been helped with the helicopters and a lot of aircrafts coming in the place to make sure that they take down the fire, because this is a large extent. They're looking at about 50 kilometers outside of the capital being also covered with those wildfires. And of course, that was happening yesterday. So far, what we do know is that there are no reports of people who have died, but obviously destruction of property around the area where it started. And that is also to the eastern side of Athens. That is being reported over there. But we'll keep an eye on that story and see what has been happening across the area. Now, just away from that, let's come back home here and take a look at what is happening in terms of our weather. And of course, we'll be tapping in from our satellites, looking at what is happening across the country. One thing is for sure, dry weather is something we can talk about for this entire morning across the country. If you look at the map, that is quite open skies right there in gray colors. That is indicative of a sunny day across Uganda. Now, mostly sunny across the western part of the country. We do have a little bit of clouds that are coming in. That is developing across the eastern part of the country, but also that is taking in mostly Mount Elgon Highlands all the way towards eastern Uganda, Soroti, Amuria. You could be having intervals of cloudy conditions, but looks like the rest of us are going to have to be dealing with a sunny morning. That is for much of this morning. Also, temperatures are expected to remain equally warm for much of the country. But I will take you into what the models are predicting for this morning. Take a look at what we're likely to be dealing with for today entirely, and also what we could be looking at for the next couple of days. Well, we'll be tapping in from the GFS medium range forecast for Africa, and of course that is also showing us what will be happening for today. If you look into the Uganda map right there, just showing also open clear skies. Now, that is indicative of more dry weather coming through. Even later in the afternoon, we could be having a reduction in wet weather activities. And of course, just a few areas within the Mount Elgon Highlands around Mbali right there that are in that light blue color, showing that we could be dealing with a bit of rains over the area. But also you can see that only covers just a small part of the Mount Elgon Highlands. So meaning that the rest of us will still have to continue with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, mostly sunny weather expected. Now, a sneak peek as we look into what is likely to happen for tomorrow. Again, that is more reduction in wet weather activities. We might be dealing with this dry weather for just the next couple of days. Now, even that system that has been coming through for the Mount Elgon Highlands looks like it is also retrieving back. So meaning that tomorrow we could actually be having hotter weather for most areas within the country. But also you take a look into the fact that much of East Africa is getting dry weather, and that has been attributed to some of the high pressure systems that have been forming over the Atlantic Ocean, and of course most of the systems that do interrupt our weather patterns and bring in the dry weather, especially for this time of the year, as we talk about more of a reduction in wet weather activities. Now, when we head into looking into what we can expect for Thursday, still more dry weather for much of the country. But there is some good news coming through. We start to see some of the systems forming north of the continent, and that is towards South Sudan. Now, that is a system that is most likely to also extend towards our country, and of course that will be bringing in a little bit of rains. If you're seeing those light blue colors right there towards the Karamoja region, that is indicative of some rains starting to come through. That will be across the Karamoja region, and that system could be extending all the way up to northern part of the country. And of course, we do expect a little bit of those rains to take some temperatures down as some of those systems continue to develop. But if you look at even much of the southern part of Africa right now, dealing with mostly sunny weather, where you see the open white colors right there, it is indicative of sunny weather that is coming through. Now, that means that we have had a reduction in most of those systems that usually affect our weather. But also taking a keen interest where if you can see that black, red, orange color right there over the Indian Ocean, that is a low pressure system. Now, this low pressure system is also one of the reasons as to why we are having reduced wet weather activities. What happens is that most of the winds that would be bringing in the rains towards our country would now be moving towards this low pressure system, and because of that, then we see some of the rains now being diverted towards this kind of system. And of course, when that happens, that means we also stop to receive some of those rains. So enough to tell us that we could be dealing with much more of this dry weather for the next couple of days, at least until that system moves away, and we can then expect to resume with our rains, especially for parts of eastern Uganda and northern Uganda, who have actually defined their rainy season for this time of the year. And now you can see there's just going to be just a couple of days with less rains. But also much of what we'll be experiencing for today is going to be mostly sunny intervals, also indicated in the forecast coming in from UNIMA, and of course temperatures will be equally high for much of your day. So enough to say that, you know, it's up to you to find a way to keep yourself a little bit cool in this kind of dry weather. And of course, have your water bottle with you. Make sure that you're well hydrated, because it can get, temperatures could get, higher than what you are used to. Well, that is it from Weather and Nature for this morning. We do have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up, but we'll be here to take you through that. And of course, later on, we'll also be talking sports. We do know that the AFCON women of the country are on a struggle. And of course, we did see that in the papers. They're writing to say the coach is not giving up, is sticking with his plan, and maybe we could be expecting good news. Ruben will be here to take you through that. Later than that, we'll also be going for Good Morning Uganda Extra. Well, my name is Mollen, Kenyena. I want to wish you a beautiful day.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings, with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Success.
Welcome to English in a Minute. The beginning of spring means sunshine, flowers, and sneezing. Are Jonathan and Anna going to discuss how they don't have allergies? Not cool, guys.
Hey Anna, tell me how the bread baking contest went.
Jonathan, I didn't win. I should have, but I didn't.
Well, what's that trophy for?
Oh, this? I came in second.
Oh, stop. Second place is nothing to sneeze at.
It is when there are only 2 people in the contest.
The phrase "nothing to sneeze at" means that something is not small or unimportant. It should be taken seriously. Sneezing. And that's English in a minute.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Every language has weather-related expressions. 2 common weather conditions are rainy and sunny.
Jonathan, are you coming to my lawn care party? We need to mow the lawn, pull the weeds, and cut down a dead tree.
Of course. I will be there.
You know, you also said you were coming to my paint my kitchen party, and you didn't.
This time I will. Come rain or shine, I will be at your place Saturday morning.
Come rain or shine means something will happen no matter what. It's a promise. You can even use the phrase when talking about the actual weather. So, if you invite people to an outdoor party, you can tell them it will happen come rain or shine. And that's English in a minute.
Success.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Success.
Live from Nile Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, and thank you for keeping it with us here on UBC TV. Once again, I'm Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. It is a bright morning here in Kampala, so if you're coming to town, well, very sure you must have followed Mollen, Kenyena with the weather and climate, and you know what to put in, how the weather is going to look like. But also the time check is exactly 4 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. And what does that mean? Well, we keep on updating you for you to plan your movements very wisely so that you get to your destination on time. But important, you can carry us wherever you go. That is on our YouTube channel. You can rewind, you can forward, and you can enjoy this program at your time of convenience in case you're not direct to your TV set. So have that in mind so that you don't miss any segment of our show. I'm Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono, and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Now, what we do in this segment is we have guests or a guest in studio, and we look at issues that concern you, and we have an in-depth analysis of these issues. But don't forget, you can also be part of this topic of discussion by simply going to our social media platforms and send us a message. Our WhatsApp number, we can read out your message, our Facebook, our Twitter handle, all those, we get feedback, and of course you get the response that you need. We want to thank those that continue sending in those messages, and of course our guests respond to them. This morning we are going to be discussing a very pertinent issue, and that is agriculture. Most of the times we talk about Uganda, our backbone is agriculture. But you see, how much have we invested? How much do you know, do I know regarding agriculture? And what are the best farming practices or systems that can sell Uganda or can help us achieve that desired vision of 2040, but also fight household poverty? This morning, I have two gentlemen who are farmers and very passionate about what they do. And we are going to be discussing commercial agricultural systems with specific interest in what we call organic farming. The world today is talking about organic farming. The world today is looking for produce that has been grown organically. And that is where we can have a breakthrough as a country. You have your mangoes, they'll ask, are they organic? Were they grown? You can't say no. Well, some countries actually are not even accepting some of these things. They mind what they eat. And I have Kayemba Matthias, who is a very good farmer, but also he comes from COA multiplier, they implemented by PALM. Now, what this stands for, COA, is Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture. You're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
And on the extreme end, I have, that is Serubiri Titus Geoffrey. You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Still is a COA member, which is Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture, and we want to better understand this. I'll begin with Kayemba. First, I must say you're smart. I love color green, which symbolizes nature and all that. When you talk about organic agriculture, for a person watching this show, this word has become trendy. Organic fertilizers, organically grown. What are we talking about?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, all our viewers. I'm Kayemba Matthias again from PERAM, Participatory Ecological Land Use Management. That is the organization that is implementing this project of organic agriculture in Uganda. And it has around 66 member organizations in Uganda. And this program is implemented by 100 countries in the whole world. So it is not just a mere talk, it is a serious talk. So when you're talking about organic agriculture, we are looking at a system of agriculture that does not allow you use external inputs that damage the soil, that contaminate food. So basically when you talk about it, it is that. So it looks at the health of the soil, it looks at the ecosystem and the people in the ecosystem. So that system of agriculture is what we call organic agriculture or agroecological agriculture.
When we talk about that system, the biggest question would be, is it still possible? Today we are seeing people applying pesticides. We are seeing people apply all sorts of fertilizers. Some will tell you the soil, I don't know what happens. The soil has aged. So you need to put this. We are seeing the meat we consume, you vaccinate, you inject, you use all pesticides. Is that still possible? Because many farmers are not looking at that. Actually, globally, not only in Uganda. Yes.
Yes, good morning viewers. I'm Titus Geoffrey Serubiri. Thank you for tuning on UBC. I'm a KSOA multiplier. It is very possible, according to what you've asked. it is just we the human beings to put in mind that if I'm doing something, am I caring? If you don't care, meaning that it won't be possible. Then if you put the care on what you do, then meaning there will be health. Because many people are dying daily on a rapid pace because there is no health. They don't mind about the health of the people. Then the ecosystem. What you're doing, is it fitting into the environment? Are you caring to the environment? Then are you fair? Are you fair to what you're doing, to the people that you're going to be rendering the services? So in organic agriculture, we do consider those 4 principles: the care, the healthy, the fairness, and the ecology. So you find that, yes, there might be an insect here that is affecting your plant, but it will be useful to the next.
So the bees?
Yes. So if you do separate the bees, then are you going
to have pollination take
place? So if you do the spray the bees, then meaning that we shall not have honey the next time. So if we do have those 4 principles, meaning it is very possible.
Well, how have people embraced this system? Because I find it may be tiresome, where someone would say, instead of digging the soil, they just buy a pesticide, have their pump on their back, then they will go spray, and the grass or weed will dry, and they will plant. But you just get space here, and you see it is less inconveniencing, it is cheaper, it is timely. Where we would need maybe 2 people to work on your garden, 1 man with a pump and a pesticide, then you find that, oh, this grass is dried, and the next day you're planting. So how have Ugandans perceived this way that seems a bit doing things God's way, yet in the other it's very inconveniencing and maybe affects on my profits?
Yeah, true, it is cheaper, in a short saying. But if you do spray and the weed dries, then what about the microbes, the microorganisms into the soil? Yes, you're applying the inorganic fertilizers day and night, season per season, but there is time that when even if you apply those, you won't get something. Because the essence of these inorganic fertilizers, the pesticides and so on, they do feed the plant, and then the plant feeds the human being. But in organic, we say you feed the soil feeds the plant, and then the plant feeds the human being. In a consideration, the microbes, the microbacteria into the soil that we cannot see with our naked eyes, they do help that process of catalyzing those bigger elements or components into the soil that are needed by the plant to consume. So if you do it easily, timely, and so on, then what about the next generation? What about your health? That's why we're dying on a high rates. People are eating, not minding their life. Cancer is now, I don't know, if you ever visited Mulago, you already see cancer, guys. It is because of what they eat. It is because every time they put the knapsack on their backs and they do supply. Soils now are dead. You find soils having hard pans. They are creating hard pans. If you see an indicator of hard pans of soils, meaning there are no microbes, there are no microbacteria into the soil. So yes, you've taken less time, but not minding about the 70 years to come.
Well, Kayemba, 2 things come in my mind from Serubiri's explanation.
Yes.
We are looking at climate change and nutrition, 2 areas in organic agriculture that I have heard him explain very well. Now, let's first look at how is organic farming of any benefit in terms of nutrition?
Thank you very much. So we are looking at the advance challenges that all the effects that the inputs that the farmers are using, that all people who bring food to the table are putting in the system that are contaminating food. So we are looking at food we are looking food to be food, it should to be healthy. So if it is not healthy, then it ceases to be food. So we have to tell people, if you don't take food to be your medicine, then you are taking medicine to be your food. So when we are doing this agriculture that is organic, for it, it combines the scientific innovations and the tradition innovations. So we are looking at diversity. When we are growing our things, let us diversify our gardens. So when you diversify your garden, that means you have variety of crops. And when you look at a variety of crops, you will find somebody is having bananas. Under the bananas, there are fruits, or like avocado, like oranges. Then there are vegetables, dodo, amarathas. There could be so many things within the same bracket or same plot of land. And this one brings us now to the three combination of the nutrients that anybody's in health needs. That is the food that gives you the energy. That is, those are carbohydrates, both the energy-giving food. Then you have foods that build your health. That is protective food, the fruits and the vegetables. Then you have foods that build your body. Those are the proteins. So we are looking at somebody putting those in the same garden. And if you use these external inputs, you are bringing contaminated food on your table. That means the nutrition you are going to have is less the serious nutrients that your body is supposed to have. So what are we advocating for now? So when you spray, let me give you an example. Somebody sprays amaranthus. Amaranthus, its gestation period is 21 days. But somebody who brings the chemical, the pesticide, will tell you after spray there is a safe interval of 14 days. So 21 minus 14 days, what remains there? So we remain with the 7 days. But they've told you the safe time is 14 days. So you find that somebody is taking the amaranthus to the market with the contamination of the pesticide. Then that one ceases to be a nutritious food. It is contaminated food. So that's why actually I've always referred people to the paper that came out on the 1st of March. That was New Vision. That gave the toxicity level of things we eat in our around markets. That is Nakasero, Owino, and Kalere. So this research came out in the New Vision and was clearly showing the toxicity level that is found in the foods that we buy from those markets. That's why we are coming here to create the awareness for people to know what they eat. Because what you eat, surely we are comparing the human body to a car. If your car has a fuel tank that is supposed to take petrol, but maybe by mistake, somebody puts for you diesel fuel, we believe that car is going to break down. Automatically, your body, look at your system, your stomach. When you put in bad food, you are breaking your system.
Now, let's understand this very well. Talk about toxicity levels. Many Ugandans today, their gardens are supermarkets, they are markets. You know? Yeah. Very few people, most so urban dwellers, where you have a huge population of this country. And when I go to a supermarket, say buy meat, it's displayed very well. I'll look at, if I want fatty or lean meat, I want that. When I go to buy vegetables, I'm not going to know where they have come from. Maybe they will say Uganda or South Africa. If I want to eat an apple, so the person who is going to consume this, I see them as innocent upon your judgment. So what I don't have one time only around after American Embassy, when you pass this side of Zambia. But a little bit before you reach the shop, I think there is a Catholic something there. That's where one time I saw, is it organic market?
Yes.
Yeah? I saw something like organic market. And I branched. But I was shocked. They were saying these are organic things, though I didn't purchase anything there. But now, how do we safeguard ourselves? Because we are innocent here. And we are, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, mister. Thank you. Then, you see, that's why we are here. Yes, people have been eating the way they like, or according to what is on market. But we say, yes, you've done that for years and years. And you're saying this is what you found on market. But you see, we as the multipliers, we are down from the villages. Meaning that we were trained by Peram, Uganda, in the instance of disseminating information to the farmers down into the communities. So meaning that we are not the only one into this struggle. There are many, many farmers there that are willing to change the way of people eating. And into this, yes, we say if a farmer might grow it organically, then what about the media guys? What about the chef? Because something might be grown organically, but into the preparation, and it is totally denatured. So that's why we are here, to let everyone know. And in this, there are markets that are open and they are working. Take an example, Percent Road, there is an organic market. Everything that you find there is purely organic. And if you Google, you find Professor Sechewa Charles is the one in charge of that market. If you go to Namayumba, there is an organic market. You've been talking about Ruvagans, sharing hall. There is a market. This side of Kalere, everywhere I was trying to put those markets in that somebody can see, yes, this is something that is purely organic. With the help of we, the technical guys, and the farmers, the chef, you, the media guys, if somebody will understand. Because yes, one time I was in Masulita, we were in a campaign of planting trees, agroforestry trees. So we found a guy, after harvesting his tomatoes, then he mixed macosm. There into the plywood and was spraying.
Do you know why he does that? Macosm, we are told it increases shelf life.
That's what he told me.
That's why when you go to all markets, those tomatoes have that, our viewer referring to that funny powder you find on tomatoes when you go to buy them. Why they put that is it hardens the skin. So this tomato will take longer to rot or go bad, if I use that word.
Yes.
So that is what we call shelf life, is the time after harvesting a produce, that time it takes before going bad or rotting. So that is shelf life. Now, macosm increases shelf life of those tomatoes. But the bad thing is you're eating salads, you're eating what? And you're consuming it very well.
Maybe something. Take an example of what he said. That in any chemical that you're using to spray, there are precautions written there. That into using this, you'll take an example, 14 days before consumption. Then he harvests the tomatoes and applies macosm. Then he goes to the market. Then, what about you? What will happen to you, the consumer? The media here, what will happen to you? What happened to me? Meaning that my life is going to be shortened. And if you don't mind where you will be selling your tomatoes, you just mind about that day market, then what about the next generation? Because it's me who is going to produce, and then we'll have where you will be selling your tomatoes.
Yes, Chiemba, I wanted to interject.
Yes, actually I was looking at the statement that is actually myth. When somebody says shelf life. Shelf life is like me eating well or smearing Vaseline on myself when I've not eaten well. Somebody tells you the Vaseline you put on yourself is going to help you not get hungry. But you've put it on the surface. So shelf life of any crop is attained when it is still growing. So when you feed it when it is still in the garden, that's the time it develops its immunity. Its skin grows because the nutrients are still going there to grow the skin of that tomato, the skin of that mango. So it will stay longer on the shelves. But when you put it there at the time when you've finished harvesting, that is a lie. It is a myth. It has never applied. Instead, you are poisoning food. So those people who are doing it, actually, they should stop because it is a myth. Even though you go in the nutrition of crops, it is not there. Nowhere you will read it. That when
it's already picked.
Purely we are saying the value chain from production to marketing, That is post-harvest handling. The people who harvest maize before it has dried from the garden, that's now the problem you are getting of getting contaminated maize and people are eating poison. So the challenge is actually people need to know, how do we handle after post-harvest? So the challenge is that, so there are some people who bring those myths. So now people take it as a gospel truth, but surely it is not true that but it has actually a challenge. Mancozeb has a challenge, and the research has it. Those people who get cerebral problems, spinal bifida, it is one of the challenges. Actually, it's one of the causes. That is what research has. Indosulfan, and indosulfan is the active ingredient in mancozeb. So you imagine eating it fresh. Somebody just put it there. So if a mother is pregnant, they know that the baby inside the mother is going to get affected because of that regular consumption of that contamination of indosulfan. So that's why we are now looking at people to get to know what they are eating. That's why we are connecting, because you have said these people don't know. So that's why we are here, to create awareness. This is what we call customer awareness. The consumer awareness should actually be on the high level, because it is you to choose what you are going to eat. So it is you now to choose the market you are going to. But now we have a challenge that the farmer, this person is, as you've said, is just going to the supermarket to buy. He doesn't know the person who produced. He doesn't know the trucker that to transport it to the market. So he's only meeting it on the shelves. So we are meeting the farmers. We are training farmers. And these farmers, it's not only training, but we are putting standards. We call it a participatory guarantee system. Whoever is going to be participating is guided, is regulated to produce what is safe, than hearing that, oh, the market needs this, then just violates the principles. So participatory guarantee system guides the farmer who is going to participate in producing safe food, so that now they can bring safe food. Then we're asking, how do we now identify it? So participatory guarantee system is going to put labels. Each farmer is producing, we are putting stickers or labels on their containers, on their baskets, so that they deliver, and you'll find, I believe, some oranges and in supermarkets, sometimes you find them with some stickers, labels, yes. Yes. So they are labeled. So even as we are going to that level, but before we reach there, we create this awareness so that people can start knowing what they are eating, so that we can create the food that is safe for people. So food will never be food until it is safe. Yes.
Well, Matthias rightly said food will never be safe until it is safe. But sensitization is very good, and knowledge is power, and we can protect our people. But I'm still disturbed by the fact that, one, organically grown produce is more expensive. When you travel outside Uganda, or when you go to these modern high-end supermarkets, some even differentiate. Tell this is organically grown and this is not. This is expensive. Unfortunately, this is something that is fairly new in Uganda. Yet producing these organically grown foods is still expensive to the farmer. I'm so passionate about agriculture, and me, I'm not about organic farming, but teaching farmers various techniques, various crops. But here is where you find a farmer and tell him, no, now these days we plant in line. You know? These days we use this kind of rope. We do this. I'll tell you, but you see, my grandfather was planting the same crop. He has passed. Here we apply organic fertilizers. Tells you, those I will use few. Last 2 seasons, yet those organic fertilizers are still expensive compared to the inorganic fertilizers. So how are you going to convince people that this is more tiresome, more expensive, more laboring, but it's the way to go? Farmers are rigid. I've handled farmers for the last maybe 5 years. Person tells you, this is how we've been doing things over time. My neighbor had better harvests. They calculate things this way. 1 acre, I put in how much? then how much am I going to get? Now for you coming with the organic agriculture, you're going to invest more. It could even take you longer in terms of harvest, because some of these inorganic fertilizers, even growth time is shorter, you know?
Yeah.
So you're making money quicker. How are you going to sell that and make a breakthrough?
Thank you.
Just for conservation and nutrition.
Thank you for the host. It is very interesting. Very, very much interesting. Yes, well, if you take notes of what you do, be whatever business that you're doing. I'll give you an example. I'm an extension officer. One time I visited a farmer in Namayumba, Tab County. He told me that he's a maize grower for over 10 years back. Then I asked him, how many plant maize do you have in this acre? It was like around, no. Then I was like, are you doing business? Yes, if you're talking about something that is tiresome, what will you invest in something that is non-tiresome? Have you ever asked yourself why globally is so high to our ages? It is because, as meter eaters, when I find you into the limousine, I say, I need to have that. But not considering the years that you've worked. So that is what out of our minds, or out of the people's minds. Yes, consider, yes, you need to get that. But into calculations, people are so hating mathematics. But if you don't calculate anything that you do, it won't work out.
But it's still in a business all about maximization of profits.
Yes.
If I have 1 acre, because I'm trying to understand how you're going to market this to our farmers. If I have 1 acre, and when I look at cost of production, maybe it's going to take me 1 million. Cost of production. Using inorganic products. And when I go organic, it's going to take me maybe 2 or 1.3. That will mean if eventually I sell and maybe I get about 1.6. If I go inorganic, I'm making more profits. And it's all about maximization of profits. That's how we do business. So here, I'm losing. How would you sell that to me?
Mr. Host, in the beginning, we talked about the life of the soil. You're putting the inorganic fertilizers. But have you considered the microbes, the microbacteria into the soil? I'm going to apply my organic fertilizer, taking longer to reapply the fertilizer. You apply your inorganic fertilizer, the next season you're going to reapply again. And even besides that, of applying the next season, now we are applying on every stage. You facilitate the germination, you facilitate the growth, the hardening of the stem, then you facilitate the fruiting. Then what is that? What is that? And besides that, when God was creating, everything was wise. When we're talking about organic, there is nothing that we produce without using the organic herbs. Take an example. If I'm making a pesticide or a fungicide, you know Phycolata, the pork leaf. You just get that. You chew. You repel the diseases on your vegetables. And what determines the cost price? It is the input. So if I go, I get the Teflosia, the Phycolata, I do make my pesticides, my fungicide. You mean it is going to be expensive? You go on market, you buy NPK. These days, farmers, they have a tendency of buying 1717, NPK 3417, without even knowing that, yes, what is it really that my soil needs 1717. You apply nitrogen 17, phosphorus 17, and potassium 17. But when the soil or when the plant needs more than that NPK, take an example of silica. Take an example of boron, calcium. Those are all elements that are needed by the plant. But for these inorganic farmers, they don't mind about that. And that's why every season they have to apply. They have to apply. And then they reduce your along your stairs, you're a human being. Because he's mining about making money. It's not fair, it's not caring. What will happen?
Well, that is very important for the farmer because with the people that grow food, yes, the food value chain is quite long.
Exactly.
But I think it is a wise decision to begin with the farmers.
Exactly.
Because market, there could be a bit of contamination. And the worst coming at time of cooking, where now we contaminate it, we cook it, and all these values that are very important ingredients to the body are lost at that level. But now let's go to the element of climate change, where now global warming, where now we are having less rains, or when they come, they are so above the average and they are so disastrous. How then does organic farming factor in climate change?
Okay. Thank you very much. When we look at our world today, and the farming systems are currently facing multiple challenges that, as you've said, they are ranging from climate change, they are ranging from increased hunger. So because the climate change has come, we are seeing less production. We are seeing so many losses in the agricultural system. And where is the challenge coming from? It is now deterioration of the biodiversity. So the biodiversity, we are looking at the soil, we are looking at all things that are within the ecosystem, the plants, the shrubs, the insects. Those insects actually are looking at macro and microorganisms. And these things have an interplay. Today we are seeing people who are now making vermicomposite. And they are making vermicomposite from the wastes. So they brought the black army flies. They are recycling. They are taking back the soil. So because we are looking at recycling, if we've not recycled, then the soil cannot produce enough food. That's exactly what we discussed prior to my talking. So we are looking at how do you maximize your profits. So the only way you can maximize your profit, but not only looking at the income, but also correcting climate change. Diversify your garden. Plant trees, plant crops, they are all in the ecosystem. So because now the soil has been worked on smartly, that is smart agriculture. Smart agriculture, we think we should care for all. So when we care for all, we are planting trees within the gardens, either they are fruit trees or they are timber trees. So these ones actually are supposed to be working on the formation of the rain. So the question is, how do we use organic agriculture to correct climate change and increase food for our population? So people are asking, can it be possible to sustainably? Because organic agriculture looks at sustainable approaches that are integrated within the science way of doing things. We are looking at food being there at all times. We are looking at people having diversified meals. But now the myth is, people think that when you clear a forest and do monocropping, there you are solving food challenges, which is not the case. So you are clearing a forest, you are damaging the nature. The following day, rains will not come, because these trees are supposed to work to formation of rain. So when it is the cycle where the trees work and now they collect the rain, after collecting the rain, then it flows to the stream. So we are seeing the streams. When now the dry season comes, the streams are evaporating. That is the science we did. All we did, actually we did it all in primary. That is evaporation, formation of rain. So how is it formed? Trees, then open space water. Now because of construction, because of clearing trees, we are not seeing surface runoff that goes to the stream. After now maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks of hot days, then we are seeing all our wetlands dry. What is the problem? The problem is, look at it, the trees you cut, because you wanted to plant a monocrop, seriously they are saying you, when you are growing bananas, no trees should be in your plantation. So you clear all the trees. You are growing maize, no tree should be in your maize plantation. You clear all the trees, but remember, that is now the maker of rain. So if we go to organic agriculture, which allows the interplay of the ecosystem, planting all trees, all everything that should be in nature, and we leave it there, we are seeing rain coming, we are seeing food being produced. That's why you see people today are telling you in Uganda, the bananas we eat come from Congo. Congo, I think, has much more trees than we have in Uganda today. Reason, they can get rain all the time because of the trees. We used to be with Mabira here. We used to get rain all the time. Reason, the trees. They are rain makers. So we are looking at climate change because of the trees. World Bank has been funding projects in Uganda to plant more trees. Plant, grow more trees, grow more trees. So if we go back and make agroforestry, which is one of the concepts we are looking at. Actually, when you're looking at the systems, the practices in organic agriculture, we are looking at mulching. We are looking at making terraces in your gardens. We are looking at adding organic manure. We are looking at intercropping. So when we do intercropping, we say that is a variety of crops. That
You're just reminding
brings
me of,
more food to the table.
When you talk about intercropping, you remind me of my once very good friend. That is the late Kasiri Gwanga.
Yes.
If you ever visited his farm, intercropping was the basis. So one time I took a group of people to look at the farm, and someone made a statement, said, so for them, ignorantly, they didn't understand why this man, in a maize plantation, there are trees, there is this, but now what kind of farming is this? You have a banana plantation, then there is maize, then there is that, and they would think you're just anything you find. Yet they say the man has space. Why is he doing this? But now I get the fact that he was conserving the environment.
He was conserving the environment. He was producing more food compared to another person who's not looking at it. Because when he goes to his garden, he's eating the carbohydrate from there. He's getting the treatment, okay, the herbs. Today we are saying we want to make chemicals. No, let me take actually an example to share it with the nation. COVID-19 time. All people are told if you are not hospitalized, do home treatment. And people are steaming themselves. Using what? They are going to the bushes to get the herbs. So in our organic agriculture, we say, put herbs in your garden. Put lemongrass there. So because these are now repellents that are going to repel, there would be pests that would be attacking your crops. So the system should at least have all ingredients in the ecosystem. The herbs should be there in the same garden because they are helping you to repel the pests. Then some pests, when they come and they find a sweet grass, they are going to feed on that, leaving your plant aside. So it's not contaminated, it's not eaten, it's not damaged. So we are seeing food that comes without actually your effort. Your effort is actually to put it there. So we are going to find the birds, because the birds will come to sit on the trees. And maybe to eat some guavas, if you have guavas around. So they will eat some, they will leave some others for you. But they will be picking all the insects that will be feeding on your plants. But now when you cut all the trees, you are killing the resting point for the birds that will eat the insects that are attacking the crops. So the system itself, in the ecology itself, we are seeing each element being beneficial. So with that, we are seeing more food on the table, we are seeing climate collected. So that achieving the sustainable development goals. Number 2, that is hunger. So we are looking at incomes. After all that, timber will come as income after harvesting the trees. But now even the food will come. Then when you use your herbs to treat yourself, you are actually saving money that would be to the chemotherapy. Now you are using nutritional therapy. You are eating food. That is diet. So you are saving the money that you will be spent from your family and family members' treatment in the hospital because you are eating good diets.
Well, what a lovely wind up of that. I love the connectivity, the interdependency. If it was anything else, I would look at it as a metrosexual approach full of benefits, where one supports the other supports the other. At the end of the day, we are saving on what we take, good nutrition, and our environment. Well, let me have your final remarks, Matthias.
I'm Titus.
Sorry, Titus.
Yes. My final remarks is, yes, if you're saying you're looking for the multiplication of your pocket and what have you, then mind about your life. Mind about your stay of children tomorrow. Don't think about yourself. Think about the generation. Think about the generation. If you were talking about the vision 2040, and you hear, if you die tomorrow, then do you think that really we shall have the 2040 vision? So, all in all, you're not blamed for the past, but you're responsible for today.
Well, thank you so much. Matthias, let me have your final remarks.
Okay. I thank the viewers, I thank the host for this opportunity that we've managed to share with the whole country these pertinent issues. I thank PERAM, the Spatial Ecological Land Management Use Systems, for this venture, BIMZ, GIZ team, and IFOM. These are the people actually who fund this project to reach the people down. And maybe I can send greetings to our farmers from different places of the whole country, and greetings to my family members in Gayaza. So I love you so much.
Well, thank you so much. That is Kiyemba Matthias, who happens to be under that is Core Multiplier, which is Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture. Thank you so much for your time and that very interesting discussion we've had. I know now people know why they should be very sensitive of what they consume, but how best also, some of these things I've learned, organic agriculture is not expensive at the end. It's just letting nature be and having better ways of how we can place each other in the right direction. I love the birds, the guavas, then the water and all that. And also I want to thank, that is Sedubidi Titus, Geoffrey, thank you so much for your time for that deliberation. Well, you now know knowledge is power. Make those wise decisions for generations to come, but also to save your body. God bless you.